After the Second World War, the Netherlands had to build a lot of new houses, not just
Sorry, the Netherlands. Never mind. The Netherlands, guys.
repair damage, but to handle the population from the post-war baby boom. And the housing they built was, well, it was pretty much all the same. Most of it built quickly, cheaply, and to one of a few similar designs. So in 1968, the Dutch government's Ministry for Public Housing and Spatial Planning started to offer grants for experimental architecture. Because, to quote the government minister in charge, men weet niet wat men mist. You don't know what you're missing. Maybe they'd find a way to radically improve housing for everyone.
But they were wrong. Hence the title.
A lot of the experiments were very tame. You wouldn't really notice them as you walk through a city. They just used different materials or organised the rooms or houses differently. And they actually did find ways to build better homes. Some of the experiments were the sort of stark, brutalist work that you might expect from 1960s or 70s architects. Interesting to look at, not always great places to live. Some of those became quite famous, like the cube houses in Hell.
That's pretty sick. And to be fair, by the way, like, spherical houses are sick too. I guess they're probably not like incredibly habitable, you know, like they're not great places to live, but look at this fucking architecture here, dude. I don't even know what I'm looking at right now. It looks like the houses are angled down. So how are rooms constructed? And even the windows are angled like out and down. So what? Do you have to like climb a ladder to get up to the top? Like you guys are seeing this too. This is wild.
And Rotterdam. One of the final experiments to get the subsidy was built in 1984, and it was very strange indeed. The Bulwoningen, the sphere houses, sitting down.
Sphere houses, here we go. They look like little UFOs or little spaceships. Look at those windows.
Bos in the south of the country. According to the designer, artist Dries Krijkamp, humans were not meant to live in a box.
It's not very spacious, but depending on the person, like I personally don't have claustrophobia, but I have heard from other people that they have experiences of claustrophobia when they enter the house. So it's not made for everyone.
Krijkamp was more a designer than an architect. The experimental houses are livable and they're still used as social housing where the local government is the landlord. But there are definitely some problems.
Strange.
Because of trees, the shell of the house gets green pretty quickly. Once in the 5 or 10 years, they do a complete cleaning of the houses. Or anything inside the house, that's all for yourself, except for proper maintenance, like the boilers and that kind of stuff. Or if the windows are leaking, because that's one of the biggest problems we have. On a good rainy day, you can basically swim in your living quarters. The first floor is when you enter.
They literally
one of the biggest
have
problems
those,
we have.
They literally have those rain guards, like what you see on car windows. Like there are these like strips that make sure that if it's raining, you can crack your window a little bit so that the rain goes over the crack. That's kind of what this is here on their windows because they're so faulty. Is this weird little guard that makes sure that the water drips down and around the windows.
Good rainy day, you can basically swim in.
And I think the reasoning for this is quite clear because in a cubic house, like you have a roof that can slope and the rain goes down the slope and doesn't get all in these windows. But in a spherical house, the rain hits the top and it just drags down the sphere right in and through the windows. And so we kind of take that for granted in, angular houses where obviously the rain doesn't even you don't even have that problem. It's not even in your purview whatsoever that the rain's going to go and slip through the cracks of your windows and stuff. We don't even have to worry about that. That's very interesting.
Living quarters. The first floor is when you enter the house. The second floor is the sleeping quarters. Then you go another stair and then you get to the bathroom and the shower, and then you have the upper floor, which is the living room, the kitchen. If you have a lot of stuff, you have to adapt because there's very limited room, so you have to
Yeah, it definitely looks like there's limited room. Wow.
use every inch. Even if you measure, it's still no guarantee that things will fit.
The two
And like with this stuff,
So you have to
you're like dealing with
use every inch. Even
like with actual square normal houses, you can set things up right against the wall. Every item that you own, every appliance that you have is going to be squared off, and so you can set it right up against the wall. But here you actually have to back it off from the wall, creating less space in the room. I mean, it's it's negligible, sure, but you have to back it off because it's coming in and up and around on itself. You can't just set something up against a wall as easily like that. So everything's kind of having to be pushed in even further. It looks very off, especially on the inside with all these squared off appliances and items that they have.
if you measure, it's still no guarantee that things will fit.
The two halves of each house were built in a temporary factory on site here and then connected together. These are made from glass fibre reinforced concrete with 10 centimetres of rock wool insulation between the outer and inner hull, which means they are warm.
If it's 20 degrees outside, then it becomes 25 inside. So we cover the windows. We're always looking forward to the winter, really. During winter, it's quite nice and comfy, actually.
Right, so it's made of fucking concrete, so it's like extremely hot when it's the summer. If it's that doesn't sound too good either.
Like, I can't complain.
Maybe, if these plans continued, the third or fourth generation of these houses would have worked well. But not only did they have problems, they also proved just too expensive compared to the economies of scale for traditional housing.
Recently, these houses were added to monumental status, so they get a little bit more care. They can't be demolished, but that's only on the local level, not governmental level, at least not yet.
The surprising thing for me is not that these houses exist. There's a lot of weird houses out there. I've visited a few of them. What surprised me is they're still homes. They're still lived in. They've not been converted to hotels or short-term lets or quirky tourist attractions. And they're not sitting disused and broken. The dreams of the space age didn't all come to pass. We don't all live in spheres now, and it turns out that there are good reasons for that. But some people still do.
It's nice to live here. It's peaceful. The shops are nearby. You got a park next to your house. You can ice skate in the winter. We have good neighbors. We do hang out. We do chat with one another. And you get used to it. It just asks a lot of adapting to it and being creative.
Wild.